Chairman Cole, Chairman Amade, Ranking Member DeLauro, and Ranking Member Cuellar. Thank you for the opportunity to testify before you today on the shutdown impacts at FEMA. I'm Gregg Phillips. I'm Associate Administrator for the Office of Response and Recovery, and I look forward to our conversation. Over the last year, under the leadership of President Trump and Secretary Noem, FEMA continues to transition into a lean, deployable force that empowers state and local governments to lead disaster response and recovery. No longer is FEMA a bloated, DC-centric bureaucratic organization that has often failed to deliver. After years of mismanagement and mission drift, the agency is now refocused on its core mission. Additionally, FEMA and the department instituted sweeping reforms to its grant programs, eliminated egregious waste, fraud, and abuse, and the misuse of taxpayer dollars. Under this administration, Americans have come first. Gone are the days of ideologically motivated projects, the use of FEMA funds to house illegal aliens in luxury hotels, and initiatives that do not save lives or protect property. FEMA is now focused on serving American taxpayers after disasters strike. In their hour of greatest need, FEMA is there. In just the first year of this administration, red tape has been cut and the processes have been updated. In recent days, DHS and FEMA led an immediate and coordinated response to a historically severe winter weather emergency that simultaneously impacted 30 states. FEMA funneled critical resources directly into the states in support of governors and emergency managers, staged more than 300 generators, 7 million meals, 3 million liters of water, and 650,000 blankets to sites across the country. Finally, FEMA ensured that its 28 urban search and rescue teams were not just on standby, but ready to action on day one. Had this winter storm happened under elapsed appropriation, coordination with the state partners and movement of resources would have lagged. Under lapse in appropriations, FEMA will not be able to continue carrying out any missions other than life-saving and supporting disaster response efforts. FEMA's Disaster Relief Fund has sufficient balances to continue emergency response activities for the foreseeable future, and life-saving and life-sustaining activities are an accepted activity under DHS's lapse plan. That said, if a catastrophic disaster occurred, the DRF would be seriously strained. A government shutdown would severely disrupt FEMA's ability to reimburse states for disaster relief costs and to support our recovery from disasters. Delays in deploying financial assistance to affected communities would hinder timely disaster results. States and communities would be forced to wait for long-term response work to continue. A lapse in appropriations would also result in the furlough of many FEMA employees, limiting the agent's ability to coordinate effectively with the state, local, tribal, and territorial partners. This will hinder communication, planning, joint operations, effective disaster relief outcomes, and complicate recovery efforts. Crippling FEMA's central operations and recovery-related work will come at the expense of the American people. FEMA plays a central role in supporting the continuity of government, consequence management, and national security missions. A delay in year-long funding could undermine the readiness for our major incidents, including terrorism and large-scale disasters, by disrupting critical preparedness and response activities, including readiness. A government shutdown will erode public trust in the federal government's ability to respond to emergencies. And even though emergency response activities will continue during the shutdown, communities, as we saw in Mississippi, feel vulnerable during the disaster and unsupported at critical times, leads to lasting effects in public confidence and resilience. Finally, not only is hurricane season quickly approaching, but FEMA continues to prepare for and respond to other threats like flooding, tornadoes, wildfires, earthquakes, and the recent winter storms. Without appropriation, this long-term planning and coordination with state and local partners will be irrevocably impacted. For example, a lapse in funding will cause significant disruption to training for first responders, such as the cancellation of resident courses at the National Disaster and Emergency Management University in Emmitsburg, Maryland. The import of these trainings cannot be measured, and their absence will be felt in our local communities. In emergency management, time is always the most important resource. In summary, a federal government shutdown would have far-reaching and serious consequences for FEMA's operations and for the nation's ability to prepare for, respond to, and recover from disasters. Thank you for your support and the opportunity to appear before you today. I look forward to your questions.